I have a question for you. When you look at your content, whether it's your social media, your podcast, your email newsletter, your speaking on stage, whatever is your content, your books, when you look at your content, do you feel like you are not doing enough to kind of really fully be yourself and get your message across? Do you feel like you're doing too much? It's like OTT, we need to pull it back a little? Or do you feel like you've got it just right? Now, if you are someone who feels like, oh, I've got it just right, my content style and strategy is on lock, I've got this, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, just rinse and repeat at this point, then this podcast episode is not for you. Good for you. Very proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Consistency is key, right? But if you're one of the, I would venture to say probably majority of people listening who saw the title of this podcast and were like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. I would venture to say that you probably haven't quite found your signature content style yet. You haven't found your groove. You threw off the emperor's groove. No, you haven't found your groove yet. You haven't found that way of delivering your message, being yourself, and making an impact on your people with your content that you dream of. We're going to take the first step towards that today. This is going to be, bookmark this. This is going to be such a good, juicy episode as we get into the development of your signature style so that you make sure that you are not sabotaging yourself when you go to create. You came here with a message, you have something important to say. Now let's find your way of doing that. Okay, so lots to talk about today. This topic is rich. You know, a lot of times we talk about content strategy. We're talking about, what time of day are you posting? How long are your videos? Are you using trending audio or not? Like some of these like little bitsy things like the mechanics. I want us to zoom way out today. Okay, we are zooming out and we are looking at two major things. We are looking at content vibe and content format. But first, before we get into all those things, like how you start to recognize this, how you use your astrology and human design to inform your content vibe and your content format. I want to set the scene a little bit so that we all know what we're talking about and why we're talking about it this and why it's so important. There are lots of ways that you can easily, accidentally self-sabotage yourself in your business. But let me tell you, after years of coaching hundreds at this point, thousands if you include readings, entrepreneurs in terms of business, style, magnetism, identity, confidence, branding, I can tell you that pretty much number one is going to be content. Like if there's an issue in the business, if they're not attracting enough clients, if they're not getting their message out there, if they're not being invited to be an expert speaker somewhere, if they're not enjoying themselves, like a lot of it is going to boil back down to, of course, confidence and identity are at the heart of all of this stuff. But in terms of business mechanics, a lot of it is going to boil down to like, are you telling people about this? How are you telling people about this? And are you telling the right people about this? Right? Marketing, content, branding, whatever you want to call it. I'm just calling it content today because it's like what you're putting out there and what people are seeing is just not working. It's not singing for us. If you watched my free masterclass, which I think the link is still on my Instagram link tree, all the things, but actually it's also on my YouTube. So if you just go to my YouTube and you look for the CEO masterclass, so it's called the Confident Cosmic CEO Masterclass. There is an image in that masterclass that is really useful where you're starting to figure out what's going wrong for you, what's not working. There are several different ways that we can move, right? We can go forward and We can be stuck in going forward, so we're not really doing anything. That's what I call silence or stalling. We can go forward and we're totally in alignment and we're just doing the things and it fits with us and it's enjoyable and it fits our personality and our gifts and all the things, and that is movement and that is harmony. We could be going backwards and we're just, we're totally kind of, sometimes stuff happens in life and stuff happens in business and we lose our confidence a little bit and we're going backwards and we're in retreat or we're in dissonance. And then sometimes we're completely off the path. Where's the path? We don't know. We've lost it. And we're in sabotage. That's when we're creating noise. So today, as you hear me talk about this, talk about the idea of content vibe and content format and finding your signature. I want you to think about am I in my signature? Is my content, is what I'm saying and how I'm saying it speaking in harmony, with who I am, with my gifts, with what I want my business to be putting out into the world, with my goals, with my vision? Or is it just noise? Content is an area that can make or break your business. Now, if you want to have a secret faceless business where nobody knows that it's you and it's kind of only based on one-to-one referrals and you have a small handful of clients every year, you're not going to care about what I'm talking about today because you have a completely different business model. But for those of you who are like, yeah, I'm ready to get loud, to get bold, to reach a lot of people with the message that I have. I want to change some lives here. I want to make my community and my world a little bit better, or maybe a lot of bit better. And I want my business to grow and I want it to be successful, right? Then yes, this is for you. You are in the right place. Now, we have a couple of options, right? What happens when we're not in our signature content vibe or our signature content format? And I am going to give examples here in a minute. But what happens is that there is this noise and this dissonance, right? It's just not singing. It's not in harmony. We're just making noise instead of impact. We're just being the boring best friend rather than really showing our main character energy. And we're really showing up in this kind of like performative imposter energy versus authentic realness. And the thing is, think of yourself as the viewer for a minute, the reader, the listener. You can tell. You can tell when someone's faking. You can tell when someone really isn't in their power. You can tell when someone is just making noise rather than impact. It was really interesting, a slightly relevant pop culture story that I might talk about on the Culture Pop this week. Tune in every Friday, by the way, for our new segment called The Culture Pop, where we talk about pop culture and astrology and human design and all the things that we can learn from that for our businesses. But, recently we had this issue with Mr. Beast and Caleb Huron. I'm a Caleb Huron stan, so immediately I'm biased out the gate, but it was a very interesting thing that happened. Mr. Beast was placed below Caleb on a Rolling Stone magazine, I believe it was Rolling Stone, most influential people online in the digital age this year. So I think Caleb was like at number 6, and then they put Mr. Beast at number 7 or something like that. Now, Mr. Beast has a lot more millions of followers than Caleb does. But what Rolling Stone was saying with that is that Caleb is more influential. And Mr. Beast had a problem with this, right? He was like, oh, like, what do you mean? Someone with only 1 million followers is more influential than me. How dare you? Like, what are they playing at here? It backfired on him pretty spectacularly. So everyone's like, oh, please don't go after our favorite comedian and gay creator on the internet. He is so smart, so articulate, so funny, so charming, so lovely, and his heart is in such a great place. He does a lot of good in the world. This was not the person to punch down on. But it brought up a really interesting conversation. And I did a video on this on TikTok where I shouted out an amazing creator, Jamal, for bringing this point out, which is this point of impact versus noise. That Mr. Beast is popular, but he really doesn't create anything like super meaningful. We can debate this, but it's a lot of noise. It's a lot of stunts. It's a lot of look at my money, look at my cash. I'm a billionaire from YouTube. Wow, all this stuff. And it's a lot of like noise, there's been a lot of criticism of some of his activism and things, and like, does it really work? Is he really helping people? Is there anything behind, is it like the Wizard of Oz? There's nothing behind the curtain, right? Versus Caleb is known for, making an impact, his opinions, his even just who he is, and being so confident as his full authentic self online, is powerful, and it makes ripple effects. And it, in some cases even saves lives. And so people are talking about, okay, this is important. So for us as business owners, we can look at this and learn and say, okay, well, what do I want to make? Do I just want to be popular, or do I want to make an impact? I already know, because you're listening to this and because you're my people, I already know it's option B. You want to make an impact. So finding your signature style is a big part of that, because when we perform, we all are different and unique. We have our own way of saying things, our own way of sharing things. The way I do it is going to be different from the way you do it. The way an Aries midheaven is going to be very different from an Aquarius midheaven, the way that they create and give their message out, right? And we see this so clearly because we know how different people are. But what happens when we get into business and we're listening to all these kind of marketing bros online and we're learning about all these different strategies, sometimes we can lose sight of who we truly are and what is our natural style in the noise of trying to keep up with the trends or trying to be overly strategic in what we do. We're being strategic in the wrong way. We're trying to say, oh, look at that person. They did that style, so that should work for me too. When you have a completely different astrology, a completely different human design, completely different skills and gifts and personality, right? And so it's so important that we tailor who we are to how we do things. So again, we want to bring that main character energy and find what our ideal content vibe and format is. So let's give some examples. When you're in your power and you are in your ideal content vibe, let's talk vibe first before format. You got to get the vibe right. If you are inherently born to be a controversial, polarizing person with hot takes and opinions, and you are trying to soften yourself to do this like softly, like blah, 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 blah kind of content, oh my God, it's not going to work. You're going to come off really fake because it's not you. We've all seen people doing this. I'm not going to name names for people in my industry, but like, let's look at some celebrities and stuff. Like, we have all seen people doing this, right? People like change their, actually, let me name someone I don't stan, okay, for a moment. Russell Brand, right? Like when he was a comedian and like doing all of his things, he was like really like cutting and like edgy and like, yeah, like let's say the real thing, let's speak truth to power, let's like do all this stuff. And then suddenly he went down this like spiritual guru kind of rabbit hole, right? And now he's doing this like, not now, well, I don't know what he's doing now. I haven't checked him out recently since the pandemic, honestly. But around the pandemic, I was listening to his podcast a bit before the truth came out about his predator ways. And we found that like, oh my gosh, like he was like, you know, doing this like soft, like it's all just peace, man. It's all just peace and like, you know, love and like all these things. And it's so interesting because I always felt like it was like he was playing a part, like he was playing a role. And I think a lot of people feel that, the mask is off now, or they've recognized that was really fake, when all these things started coming out. Now he's moved to America, he's super MAGA, all this stuff, right? Really interesting. Really interesting to look at some of these kind of characters, entertainers, whatever you want to call them, who have had these like huge rebrands and noticing when it feels, and you can look at their astrology as well. He's a Scorpio midheaven. The prior version worked a lot better, which is polarizing, like speaking truth to power, being like, no, this is, the edgy, right? Edgy worked for him just from a purely business point of view, marketing point of view, brand point of view, because it felt authentic, right? So that's kind of a polarizing example in itself. Let's look at someone else. Let's look at, who should we look at? Oh, this is an interesting one. Let's look at, shout out to Meghan Markle. Let's look at Meghan Markle. So Meghan Markle has an Aries midheaven. And I think when she's in that energy, it works so well. And when she's not, it feels like a performance, right? Aries midheaven energy is like hard hitting. Again, it's kind of edgy. It's like warrior energy. It's like, this is what I believe in, F the patriarchy, F the system. Like, this is how we want to do things now. We want to protect. We want to, it's that warrior energy. It's the fighter, right? Aries is the fighter. It's like, this is what I'm not against. This is what I'm not about, right? And the TV show, and of course, this is a nuanced conversation because race is important here. And, unfortunately, the majority culture doesn't like to see Black women being soft and feminine and wealthy and elegant, right? So there is that piece of the puzzle that we just need to acknowledge here. But also, I think the softly, like, I'm just so nice and charming, like, aspect of the TV show recently just didn't land well. I cannot wait to see Meghan in her Aries energy, because I truly believe that is her brand, right? That is who she is. She's a fighter. She's strong. She's smart. She's stands up for certain things. She's against certain things, and she's clear about that. And I would love to see a different TV show where that comes out. I think that would resonate, because we would feel like, yeah, that's who she actually is, right? A lot of the criticism was like, this feels really fake. Interesting. Okay, so that's what I want you to think about yourself now. So we talked about, there's a couple other examples I was going to go into, but I don't think we have time now. But like Barack Obama, Tony Robbins are both 6 lines in human design. The 6 lines are storytellers, right? They're inspiring. So when they do inspiring content, like the power within, yes, we can, things like that really fits, right? That fits who they are, and it works for them so well. That is their signature content style, right? If you have a 6 line, think about this. How can you inspire people? This is so key. Okay. So we could go into, oh gosh, I wish I had 2 hours. I could go into so many different celebrity examples for you and talk about certain things that work and certain things that don't work. But what I want you to do is really think about yourself now. What's your vibe, right? What's your vibe? Look at your midheaven, look at your profile lines, there's so many different parts of your design that you need to look at here. Let's start there. What's your vibe? Are you someone who's polarizing? Are you someone who is inspiring? Are you a storyteller? Are you someone who is a teacher? Are you someone who is educational? Are you like a baddie in the boardroom? What is your vibe? And are you doing that enough in your content, or does it feel fake? Like, ask, your friends, people that know you really well, like, to watch your content, like, ask them, does it feel like me? Is that really, or am I like overly sanitizing myself? Am I sabotaging myself and creating noise rather than impact? Now, the last thing I want you to think about is format. So content format. And by this, I mean, what platform? So are you doing long form essays on Substack? Are you doing podcasts like this, where you're sharing your takes or you're having interesting conversations with guests? Are you doing short form entertaining skits where you're getting your point across and you're making us laugh and making us think? Are you doing, what else do I have here on my list? Are you doing myth busting and educating, where you're like, hey, you think it's this, actually it's this, and let me tell you why, right? Are you an educator? You're a teacher. think about the format of your content as well. In your astrology and human design, you're going to see different markers, especially for this one. Look at your profile lines. I have a whole course on this, by the way. I have my community design course, which is in our Constellation membership, where it helps you figure out who your ideal people are. I have midheaven magnetism, which helps you find your brand and your vibe and how to translate that into your offers and your marketing and your sales. I have Gab, Grow, and Get Paid, which is all about social media. And we talk a lot about the profile lines in that one and figuring out your ideal platform. So all of this is inside of the Constellation community. Join us in there. It is an incredible vault of courses. Plus you get monthly calls and you get some coaching as well periodically. So check that out for sure. But today, sit down, look at your human design profile lines and think about, okay, wow, is my format actually working for me? A lot of you out there, let me just call you out for a second. Let me read you for filth right here. Manifesting generators, if you are not doing video, you're in the wrong format. Okay, you are just made for video. You were born for video. Like this energy, or at least audio. Okay, I'm a manifesting generator. When people listen to me, they get hyped up, right? When they listen to you, they get hyped up. It's that energy of the sacral connected to the throat. You cannot ignore this. Okay, this is just one of millions of examples I could give you of how to identify the right format for you. Manifesting generators, start doing video. I know it's scary. I know that we have a lot of hangups about this stuff. Everything I'm talking about today, you're like, sounds great, Rachel, but I'm freaking scared. I get it. I was scared too. I have major stage fright. Like when I was young, I started doing speech and debate. I would throw up on cue before every speech that I gave. I was shaking in my boots. I remember not even that long ago when I was working at Deloitte, I would be, about to give a presentation. This partner once said, like, I was scared for you. You seemed so freaked out. And then you like switched on a light and got on there and you were amazing. And I was like, yeah, that's just how it works. I'm scared too. We're all scared. And we can't let that stop us from really letting our light shine, from really finding our signature content vibe and format. This is a major key to continue the music metaphor. Okay, this is a major key for your business. You have a message and people are ready to hear it, but they need to hear it in your way. So figure out what that way is. And I'm not just going to leave you hanging here. You can come and join us in the Constellation membership and learn this too. Or pay attention, listen to some of my previous podcasts where I talk about, profile lines and things like that. But this is everything. Your midheaven, go to my TikTok and listen to my midheaven playlist, find your midheaven and listen to me talk about it, get my free ebook. I have so many resources to help you figure this out. But today, I just want you to start asking the right questions. If your content is not working for you or for your people, there's a reason. You probably are not doing your signature. So find your signature, be the main character, and make the impact you want to make. I'll talk to you next time.